going to make stuffed peppers. It's something that I do quite often if I'm roasting a chicken and serve it as a vegetable side. But actually it's really good for vegetarians and it would be a main course for a vegetarian. So see what you think of this. Now for this you can use a red, an orange or a yellow pepper. And it's nice if you get one with a stalk on, but what you're going to do is cut the pepper in half and try and go through the stalk as well. Turn it over and then it gets a bit tricky. If you keep the stalk on, it actually looks quite attractive. Just going to cut through that last bit. And then we need to take out all the seeds and the membrane. So you'll need to cut across the bottom end of where the seeds sit, I don't know what you call that bit, and take out those membraney bits and then give it a tap. Take out as many seeds as you can. You might have to sort of put the knife in and just encourage them to come out. Then you're going to need an oven-proof dish that they'll sit in, and an oval one works really nicely because of the shape of the peppers. So do the same with the other one. If the stalk comes off, you'll be left with a hole at the end of the pepper and your filling might fall out. So it's always good to try and keep the stalk on. And then they are going to go in the oven for 10 minutes just to start them cooking. So I'll do that next and get rid of the rubbish, and then I'll show you what we do for the filling. Right, now for the filling we're going to use couscous. Often it's rice and I'm not a great fan of that, so I've got 70 grams of couscous and I've got 65 mils of boiling water, and that just needs 5 minutes to soak, and it needs a lid. I haven't got one that fits that dish, so I thought a plate would work. Now the other things that we're going to use for our filling are garlic and tomato and pesto. The garlic is interesting. When you roast garlic, if you don't cut it up into pieces or anything, the flavour is quite mild, quite mellow, quite subtle. If you cut it up into pieces, the flavour gets stronger. But if you crush it, that's when you get most flavour from a clove of garlic. It's to do with the way that the flavours are released from the cells. So I'm going to have a crushed clove of garlic. This is optional. I know there are people who really don't like garlic. You don't have to put it in, but I'm going to. So I'm just going to clean that stuff out of there because I'm going to use all of that. So a clove of garlic, and then a tomato. What I'm going to do is put half of the filling into each of the pieces of pepper and then add a layer of tomatoes, and then there's another layer of tomatoes that go on at the end, so you need quite a big one. And I'm going to use a serrated knife. And something that I really don't like with tomatoes is that stalk piece in the middle. So I like to slice them and then make sure that nobody gets that, so I cut that out of each slice. So I've got 3, 6, 7. There's a piece there, get rid of that. And that's going to have a piece as well. Right, there we are. So that's our tomato ready. And we're going to use pesto. This has got cheese in it, so it's not going to be a vegan thing. It would be suitable for a vegetarian, but not a vegan. And you're going to need about 2 teaspoons, but one of these little pots is the perfect amount. So I'm going to get that open, and you can imagine that that's really going to add to the flavour and the smell. Now our couscous has had 5 minutes, and to that 70 grams of couscous I added 1/3 of a cup of boiling water, which is about 65 mils or 3 fluid ounces. So it's almost measure for measure. It's an equal quantity of, so 3 ounces of couscous, 3 fluid ounces of water, boiling water, and just give it 5 minutes. Now we're going to add our other ingredients. Let's get the garlic in there and the pesto. And then we mix. And I think I'd rather mix with a fork because you have to fluff the couscous to make it light. Now this takes a minute or two because the couscous doesn't particularly want to take the pesto. The pesto goes a bit lumpy, so you've got to get them mixed together. You can see how it's clumping a bit with the pesto. So give it a good old mix. And I'm not going to add salt to this because I think pesto has got quite a strong flavour, as has the garlic. The only thing I might add is pepper, but from experience I haven't really needed it. So, it smells really nice. So that's nicely mixed. Now the next thing we need are our peppers out of the oven. Right, there we are. That's quite hot, so I've put it onto a wooden board. Now, what we're going to do is put some of this. We're going to put basically a quarter into each of the peppers. So you can just roughly divide it up. Get that into the bottom of the peppers. You'll see why in a second. It makes perfect sense. Just give it a little push. I just hold that one up a little bit. Now we're going to add those end slices of tomato. We'll put one on there and one on there. And then the slice where I took the triangle out. Oh, that's hot. Put that in as well. And then we add more of the couscous. And you can pile it up a bit. But it will keep pressing down too, because these peppers have got lots of cavities where the couscous will eventually take itself down. That one's not sitting as straight as I would like it. If it falls off, don't worry, because there'll be juice that escapes during the cooking process and it will soak up all that extra couscous. Right, a tiny bit more on that one. It does really smell lovely. Now, onto the top of that, we put our extra slices of tomato. And this helps to keep it moist and protect the couscous, because it will dry out if in the oven it's not covered with something. And the final thing is some cheese. It can be, I've got cheddar, it can be either cheddar or parmesan. Pile it on. It's probably about 50 grams. There we are, and that's ready to go back in the oven now. Gas mark 6 for about 20 minutes, maybe 25, but if you've got something else that's already cooking in the oven, you can be a bit flexible with you know, how long you leave it. If it starts to get a bit brown, you can always put a little bit of foil over the top just to protect it. So 20 minutes in the oven and you're done. Right, time's up. There we are. Oh, they look delicious. Well, I hope you like this. Have a go, see what you think. Yeah, stuffed peppers.